One of my favorite forms of entertainment on the internet is urban legends and lost media. I usually lump these two together because they both have things in common: the aura of mystery surrounding them and our innate nature to find the answer. I think we as humans are natural completionists. We're drawn to these topics because we so desperately want to find the answer to something, even if it seems impossible. We don't want a question to remain unsolved. We want closure, damn it! Sometimes these mysteries are solved, and sometimes they probably never will be. In fact, I recently found out a Screamer video based on Mario 64 that scarred me when I was 9 is now lost media. Lost to the depths of time. I hadn't thought about this video in years, and now I found out it's probably gone forever. Don't know how to feel about that, really.
It fucking deserved it!
And that's one realm where I think this format really shines. The realm of video games. There exists tons of video games that were cancelled and are now lost to time, but the thing that truly never dies out are video game urban legends. After that Mario 64 iceberg video blew up, and the whole every copy of Mario 64 is personalized thing became a meme, this has gotten a ton of people interested in that sort of thing. Now, urban legends for Mario 64 have always existed, even back in the late 90s, the most popular being, of course, Luigi. People have been looking for ways to unlock Luigi in Mario 64 for decades. That's why that Screamer video got me.
Piece of shit!
But I think we're all fully aware by now. Luigi is nowhere in the game. You can collect as many coins as you want, stop as many Goombas as you can, but Luigi does not exist in Mario 64 in any fashion. Now, there was a huge leak of files at Nintendo a few years ago, revealing that Luigi was planned for the game, even his mom was found. But as for the final release of the game all the way back in 1996, there is no Luigi in any form whatsoever. But due to the popularity of Mario 64 in this topic, I think it's sort of taken the limelight away from other games. There exist urban legends in tons of other games too. Like Tomb Raider. Oh, there's the booby code. If you do enough actions and input a cone, you can see Lara Croft's pyramids. Oh, and then there's Bigfoot in Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Oh, that's another well-known one. Oh, we can't forget about the infamous Stop and Swap in Banjo-Kazooie. Remnants of it's still in the game. All the collectibles are completely useless, but they might do something at some point. There exist tons of these for tons of different games. And yeah, most are complete bullshit. But sometimes, on a very rare occasion, they turn out to be real. I know it seems hard to believe, but a few times these urban legends weren't legends after all. They're actually real. And I'm going to be showing you 3 of these cases today. I've decided to go for variety, so in this video we're going to be talking about a cool urban legend, a creepy urban legend, and a whole game that was an urban legend. All of these cases, they're legit. They're actually real. So, strap in and prepare to have your mind blown. We're looking at 3 video game urban legends that are actually real. I think Super Smash Bros. Needs no introduction. Since its inception since 1999, and especially with the release of Melee, Smash Bros. Has gone on to become the best-selling fighting game series ever. The big crossover element was most likely a huge factor. Melee especially more than doubled the roster from 12 in the original to 26. That's a crazy number for a game series just on its second game. You can play from all sorts of characters from all sorts of Nintendo franchises. You can play as the well-known characters, or the obscure ones, or the Fire Emblem characters, which hadn't even had a game leave Japan when this game was first released. You could even play as a black man! But there was one character, since even the release of the original Smash Bros. On the N64, that people wanted to play as, but never could. That would be the main boss of Classic Mode, Master Hand. Now, you usually can't play as boss characters in fighting games, but that didn't stop people from trying. You would hear all sorts of ways to unlock Master Hand, like kill 100 fighters in Cruel Smash, or beat all 3 modes without getting hit once. All of them were bullshit. Sadly, there was no known way to play as our gloved gladiator with all of his cool moves. Or, at least, that's what we thought for the longest time. At some point, someone supposedly found a way to play as Master Hand, and it's as convoluted as you would think. It goes like this. First, you must plug your GameCube controller into slot 3. Then, go to the name entry on the character select screen. Hover your cursor over the entry and then hold B and A, but then let go of A and then very quickly hit it again at the right moment. This will supposedly take you to the stage selection, where you can then select a stage and play as Master Hand. Yeah, this legit sounds like some cryptic shit you would do to unlock Luigi in Super Mario 64. Some weird combination of buttons and inputs just to waste your time. Not to mention, if you're too fast, you go to the name entry screen. If you're too slow, you go back to the main menu. But after enough perseverance, you will eventually make it to the stage select screen. And after selecting a stage, you can play as Master Hand. Oh my god, this is so damn cool. You get access to his moves, but they're a bit weird to pull off. The analog stick does not do diddly dick here. His attacks are mapped to the GameCube's awful D-pad. Why is that? Well, that would be because this is technically a glitch. You weren't actually meant to play as Master Hand. This isn't some hidden thing by the devs. This is basically an exploit in the game's code. From what I've read and seen, the whole name entry thing is basically a way to trick the game. Since you're entering and exiting the name entry screen at the same time, the game doesn't know what to do. So instead of crashing, it kicks you to the stage selection screen with the first character registered in the game's code, which happens to be Master Hand. So yeah, it's technically a flaw in the game's code that allows this to happen. And it's not perfect either.
Because it has no hitback, Master Hand cannot be beaten in stock matches. You can even use the finger flicker in event matches. However, be warned, the game has a tendency to freeze when Master Hand is in play.
Still though, the fact this is even possible at all amazes me. All those rumors of the playground were true after all, just in a strange, different way. This is legit one of the coolest damn glitches I've ever seen in a game. Now, later on, you could actually play as Master Hand officially in Smash Bros. Ultimate's World of Light, but Melee still stands as the first game where Master Hand is actually playable. Kind of. Sort of. Saints Row 2. Considered to be the fan-favorite game of the series, at least from what I've heard, this game gets a ton of love and is considered one of, if not the best Grand Theft Auto wannabe ever. It's also the last Saints Row before the series took a sharp turn into wackiness with the third game, which turned a lot of fans off. That's why they keep running back to this one. I mean, that's not to say this game doesn't have some wacky stuff in it, like the Zombie Horde minigame. It's a fun distraction, but some fans found an exploit. If you blow yourself up in a certain way, you can go out of bounds. Now, getting out of bounds in a video game is always good fun. I mean, there's a whole YouTube series about it. So this should be some good old fun, right? Well, actually, getting out of bounds in a Saints Row 2 is not recommended. Why is that? Well, rumor has it, there is a dark, ethereal creature that stalks the player when they get out of bounds. They silently chase the player, and when they least expect it, the creature appears on a surface resembling a shadow. It then crashes their game. It is also said, in some cases, this also destroys your copy of the game. You can no longer get past the title screen. If you own a physical copy, it's done for. If it's digital, you gotta re-download it from wherever you got it. This creature basically stalks you and ruins your game if you break out of bounds. Now, this legit sounds like a creepypasta. The whole concept of a dark creature existing in the game that chases you down if you break out of bounds, and then destroys your game for doing it. In fact, wasn't that an actual creepypasta? Kill Switch, or what was it called? I don't know. But yeah, this legit sounds like some horror story shit. Where can I find this on the Creepypasta Wiki? If this were actually real, that'd just be silly, right? Right? This creature is known in the Saints Row 2 community as the Freezer.
Gee, I wonder how he got that name!
This isn't some urban legend spooky story. This thing is real. 100%. There are multiple documentations of people breaking out of bounds, this thing hunting them down, and destroying their copies of Saints Row 2. People have even found out this thing shows up the most in the 360 version. It's that documented. Everything I mentioned, the dark shadow, the crashing, the destroying of copies of the game, is true. I should also mention this, like Master Hand, is also another glitch. This was not put in here by the developers to punish players for breaking out of bounds, no. This thing is a product of the game's spaghetti code and the developers not accounting for it. This is fascinating. The game has a glitch in it that creates a creature that chases the player down and destroys their game if they break out of bounds, made completely by accident. This thing manifested itself and has actual real-world consequences. I mean, it's not like the Tales are or some shit. It isn't going to come out the TV and kill you, but it will destroy your game and take your money. So yes, this is why it is not recommended you go out of bounds in Saints Row 2. This thing. And you want to know the scariest part about it? Nobody knows what this thing is. I mean, no one knows what causes it. People have speculated it's either a glitch NPC or zombie, or maybe it's the player's shadow freaking out and not knowing where to place itself. Nobody knows for certain. And since the game breaks itself almost immediately after it shows up, it's very, very difficult to pin it down and study what causes this. It's creepy as hell. So, any game developers listening, please, check your spaghetti code before release, or else it might manifest itself into a creature that tracks down nutty players breaking out of bounds and crashes their game, takes the money, and kamikazes their game. So the previous two cases are about urban legends and games everyone knows about. But what about a game that was so obscure, so mythical, that many didn't even believe it existed? And I want to talk about this case because it's a story from the older days of the internet that is slowly being lost to time. This is the story of Bio Force Ape. Bio Force Ape was an NES game for 17 years people believed to be a hoax. The reason why is that the game was only shown once anywhere, in an issue of Nintendo Power in 1992. This little blurb right here for the game was the only known trace of its existence. It was never seen before or after this. Now, you may be asking, well, if this blurb for the game exists, why did people think it was fake? This had to have shown it was real in some format. Well, that would be due to the fact this was in their April issue of 1992. For those who don't know, every April of every year, Nintendo Power would have these jokes and hoaxes in that issue for April Fools. There would be fake games or secrets that they would claim were real, but actually weren't. So due to this, many believed Bio Force Ape was just another product of that. It was a fake game they made up for a joke. Like, seriously, Bio Force Ape? That's so stupid! There's no way that could be real. And so people argued for well over a decade about this game, whether it was a cancelled game that never saw the light of day, or a joke made by Nintendo Power that never actually existed in the first place. It was also prone to hoaxes and people claiming they found prototypes of the game. Probably the most famous case happening in late 2005. A man went on a forum claiming to have found a prototype of the game and had actual photographic evidence. He had pictures of the game and even the prototype card itself. Now, today, we have 3D printers and shit, so it's pretty easy to fake anything. But back in 2005, most people didn't have access to those, so people were a lot more likely to believe them since it was way, way harder to fake something. So he showed off pics of the game and showed off stuff like a fart move that was so strong it started to glitch the game. The forum members were of course very amused by this, some even offered him money for the prototype, and that's when the arguments kicked off. People were potentially seeing this prototype of a game that was thought to be fake, and then because of this, two groups were made. One group want him to dump the prototype online so it could be preserved forever. The other group want him to keep the prototype to himself so the prototype could preserve its value, since the thing is potentially worth thousands of dollars. And because of this, the forums started flinging shit at each other, arguing he should dump it, he shouldn't so it can remain valuable. Meanwhile, the guy just kept playing the game. And while he kept playing it, the screenshots he started posting started being suspiciously relevant to the discussion. Ja, I am here to bother and you will took monies. Eat communism! Yeah, something seems fishy here. But the arguments continued anyway. Eventually, the dude just got sick of this and then showed a pic of the prototype smashed to pieces. This caused a few heart attacks, but then it became very obvious the entire thing was a joke. Everyone had a good old hootin' and a holler, but this just cemented the idea of Bio Force Ape was probably just a joke game that never actually existed. I mean, after that, how could it be real? Well, actually, 5 years later, on March of 2010, another prototype would surface on Japanese eBay. But there was an actual auction held that ended with well over 2K monies! About $2,700. But the only fishy part of this was, the auction? It ended on April 2nd. Of course people were right to be suspicious. A game dumper was able to win the auction and had it shipped to him. When it arrived, oh god, not again! But thankfully, this pic was a hoax. The dumper was able to get Bio Force Ape completely intact and dump the game as soon as he could. After 17 years, Bio Force Ape was proven to be real, and it was available for anybody to play. So how was the game itself? Well, it's actually not that bad. In fact, it's pretty good. For one, the speed of the game is impressive. Like, this is probably the fastest NES game I've ever seen. At least the fastest platform I've seen. The combat is decent, you could do wrestling moves and other cool shit. No fart moves, sadly. If only. The most impressive thing, however, is the game is basically complete. There are a few things here and there that aren't finished, but you can beat the game just fine. This urban legend of a game was almost completely finished, only to never see the light of day. But we wouldn't have such a fascinating story if it did. So, that's what happens when a myth becomes reality. But that's what's fun about this. It's fun to speculate. And it becomes absolutely jaw-dropping in the cases when these things turn out to be actually true, even if it wasn't intended by the devs. Always keep an open mind about things. It's a lot more fun to live that way. God bless, like my shit and subscribe, I have a dog to feed. This is Magic Mush, signing off.